This is Dr. Grande. Welcome to this episode of Alien Lizard Humanoids. Tonight we'll be looking at the incident between Will Smith and Chris Rock at the 94th Academy Awards. I'm here tonight with my co-host Jeff. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, how are you? My name is Jeff Pincin, and you'll notice that just me and Dr. Grande today. Mike couldn't make it tonight, so it'll just be us tonight. Stick around until the end. We'll respond to comments and questions, and please leave a comment or question, and we may respond in future episodes. Back to you.
Excellent. So you're sitting in a different spot.
I am. I've got the board behind me, and this is not it's a very colorful behind me, and I'm not used to that. And I don't really know what to do with myself. I feel like I'm in a different world right now.
I know, well, you don't wear eyeglasses, right? You wear contacts?
I wear contacts. Yeah, I wear glasses sometimes. I just got new glasses. They're very different from my old ones. They're big and they're like red. Yeah, I like them though. Mm-hmm. They're different.
Well, when I had to get glasses, I think it was like third grade or something like that. It was a long time ago. I got my first pair of glasses. I don't know how many I've had since. You figure about once every 2 to 4 years, depending, But when I first got them, one of the things that really bothered me, especially with the style in the, I don't know when that would have been, I guess late 70s, early 80s, whenever that was, was like really big glasses. Yeah. And no one, it didn't stand out back then because it's what everyone was wearing.
Normal. Yeah.
But I would be distracted by the light that would come and reflect. It was like having rear view mirrors.
Yeah.
And it was to the point where there was times where I could actually see what people were doing behind me.
Oh gosh.
Not in 4K, but I could see them coming up or moving.
You see if somebody's moving.
Yeah. And with that, that would have driven me crazy with the colors and I couldn't deal with that.
I'm thankful that big glasses like that are not necessarily the popular style. I guess they are with sunglasses, maybe kind of bigger, but I look back to pictures of my parents in the late 80s and big glasses, and for me it's like, why did they think that was cool? But obviously it wasn't. I'm sure we're going to look back on things today and be like, why did we think that was a good idea?
Well, every fad comes in and out,
right?
So I don't know if big glasses will ever come back. They're not really technically necessary with the technology with lenses. They can make them smaller. Right. And I think they're so heavy that people just don't want to go back to that. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe they will come back someday.
It makes sense.
But you can definitely, looking at old photographs, even true crime stuff, crime scene, you can see people standing around with these massive glasses. I'm like, I wonder what year this was.
Right.
But the nice thing about those glasses was that you could move your eyes quite a bit and still have your proper magnification, and
have blind spots like that.
Yeah. Now I wear these ones where, because of my age, where they're different as you move down. They're called progressives, I think, something like that. So it changes as you look down, right. And I have different levels. Like computer is like here, and then readings here.
Right.
And what that does, not as bad anymore, but when I first got them, is it's blurry on each side. So you end up moving your head more.
Oh, okay.
To see things. And it's a little frustrating. I tend to move my eyes more than my head.
Yeah.
So I just deal with the blur because, but when you're driving or something, you have to.
Right.
So you're you get used to it.
Well, speaking of looking around, I'm picturing being Mike and the whole time. And that's got to be tough. I never thought of it from his perspective. So we'll have to, I'll have to mention that to him next time. And, just the constant, he's going to get whiplash or something, constantly looking around.
You have to have good peripheral vision for that middle seat.
There you go. It's a prized seat. It's not for the faint of heart. That's for sure.
Yeah. And no dizziness problems, right? Like with the inner ear,
Right.
Yeah, so speaking of somebody's head going sideways.
Well, there you go. That was a good segue.
How about that, yeah. We have this case that probably almost no one has heard of.
Yeah.
It's one of these unusual...
Definitely not on the internet.
Yeah, these unusual cases that we dug up. No one noticed it. But we thought, hey, it's pretty interesting, so let's put it out there. The background in this case, I mean, it hardly needs an introduction. But 94th Academy Awards, which I think in recent years has not been doing as well.
Right. I think I said the viewership has gone down consistently.
Yeah, I think what's happening is that that whole industry of producing media products is no longer centralized in Hollywood. With social media, I mean, a lot of people would rather watch social media than television or movies, although they're still popular, but they're not as popular. And I think, too, that in this day and age, where kind of like every hero is now a villain, kind of the elite Hollywood actors just don't have the same razzle-dazzle. People tend to see the negative, like they're wealthy and they're insensitive or clueless or whatever it is. It's an age of negativity as people kind of, I think, recalibrate the definition of people they look up to. Right.
Popularity does not necessarily equal role model or something like that.
It's really a strange time, especially when you've been around a while and you've seen other things. Like there was a time and a lot of time in my lifetime where like a Hollywood actor, it was like a big deal. And they could get away with a lot.
Sure.
Now, not as much.
Yeah. Obviously, that's for the better that they can't get away with things. But that also, like you said, comes with a different culture, comes with a different view of people who are famous and popular and so forth. Traded off a few things.
So I find it kind of ironic that you have this kind of hyper-vigilant age, and then you have the Academy Awards coming on to decreasing viewership, and then they have an incident that kind of touches on, well, viewership and popularity, but also on kind of like the bad behavior of a lot of celebrities. It wasn't just one in this story. I think there's a lot of people that behaved badly.
Yeah, and what they can get away with, to your point. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so the incident itself, just so we say it, so it's in the video. Will Smith. So it was Chris Rock who was presenting. He wasn't one of the main presenters. There was three other people. Wanda Sykes was one of them. I can't remember the other two.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing is that, and I know a lot of other people have said this too, they didn't even know that the award ceremony was on that night.
Yeah.
And if it hadn't been for this, they would have went on with their life and never have known it was on.
Yeah.
94th would have never happened in their mind. Probably the 95th either. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was just something that, again, a kind of a small population seems to have an interest in anymore. It'll always have some, right? I mean, it's still, don't want to minimize it too much. I mean, these are very famous people, very wealthy. They make movies, many of which I like.
Yeah, make very good movies at that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, big budget films and good writing. I mean, when I say I like Hollywood, I guess I don't necessarily like. I don't like the bad dynamics at all, but I do like the end product a lot of the time. Right. To be honest, I mean, I like movies. I like TV.
Yeah. Right. That's a good part of. Good part of culture is movies, is media, things that people are producing to either as art or just as entertainment or both or something along those lines. That's a very important part of life, of something that everyone lives.
Yeah, and I think they have a responsibility to do a good job with that, and because it does reflect and sometimes drive the culture. And I think this case kind of speaks to one of the questions that a lot of people have been asking themselves: what kind of people are we kind of elevating here?
Right.
Like, are these really good people that should be in charge of something so influential?
Right.
So we see Chris Rock was presenting, I think it was Best Documentary. Right. Just that was his one job. From what I understand, and a lot of this is rumor. I mean, we don't have a lot of great information on this yet. But my understanding from one thing I saw was that he was kind of doing his own thing, going off script a little. And he made a joke about, it was a husband and wife that were both up for awards. And he made a joke about them. And then he came to the one about G.I. Jane 2, which was targeted at Jada Pinkett Smith, who is Will Smith's wife.
Right.
And she has alopecia. So now my understanding is in most situations that would not create the look that she has. She shaved her head,
Sure.
but it would have like, like patches of hair.
Yeah.
It wouldn't look necessarily desirable, I guess, for a lot of people.
Right.
So it's like, okay, do I like test the limits of comb overs or wigs or whatever, or do I just shave it off and kind of embrace it?
Embrace it or try to hide it, which, I mean, either way, if you had a wig or some kind of head covering of some way, a hat or something, it'd be acceptable too. And obviously she didn't choose this. So you make, you do what you can to, I don't know, to go out in public, to go out at an awards show, and shaving her head is, obviously she's embracing it, and she's deciding, I'm not going to let this win over me. I'm still going to go out and do things and try to look my best and all that. So more power to her, embracing it.
And it has been her look for some time. I don't think this is brand new.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Although I have seen her with hair on her Red Table Talk show on Facebook. But yeah, I mean, maybe sometimes she goes with the hair, sometimes she doesn't. But this is a style she chooses.
Yeah, sure.
And from what I understand, Chris Rock didn't know about the alopecia.
Now, there's some question to that. I don't know if, is it confirmed at all that you're aware of that he did or did not know?
My understanding is he did not. Yeah. But of course, we don't know for sure. But I don't think Chris Rock would have told the joke if he knew. The one criticism you could throw out there is that that's such an unusual style, right? Considering just a lot of factors, like you wouldn't expect to see that maybe there should have been like a moment where he's like, I wonder if there's another reason for that. One common reason would be, or not super common, but one reason we see is like somebody is undergoing chemotherapy.
Yeah, sure.
So, you certainly wouldn't want to say that joke
right
under those circumstances, but not for alopecia either. Alopecia is not as serious, but it's a medical condition.
Right.
So,
I think, I don't know this to be true for sure, but it seems to me that among women of color, that hairstyle is, I don't know if I can call it popular, but I've definitely seen it on a fair number of women. And it's not like it's something I'm looking for, like, hairstyles of people. But I do recall seeing women of color especially having that kind of hairstyle. So maybe it is a little bit more common than I might expect it to be, which is great. And so maybe in Chris's mind, maybe it was just, this is a fashion choice and
it's
not
it's
necessarily an uncommon one. Right. It's fair game. Right.
And yeah, to your point, most times it probably would not be connected to any type of medical situation. It's a choice. Right. That's a choice she made. It's a look that she likes. And, no matter what kind of hair somebody has or lack of hair, humor is something that comes up, and Chris Rock is a comedian. So you got to make fun of something. Yeah. Right. I mean,
that's a lot of what comedians do.
Right. Yeah. They make fun of people. Right. It's supposed to be lighthearted. Yeah. And, not vicious. But, yeah, there's people who didn't like the joke he told about the married couple, which I thought was pretty benign humor. But, the cancel culture people can find, they can destroy the art of comedy very quickly. Right. They're just very concrete thinkers, cancel culture. They don't have the ability to abstract. Like, everything is literal. Right? It's like what you'd expect in a child, to be blunt, right?
There's not much room for I don't know, there's not much wiggle room for, like, it's either this or it's that. It's black and white. There's not much in terms of, I'll let that one slide kind of thing. But, I guess that's kind of the point of all of that. If there was wiggle room, then it wouldn't be it wouldn't really be a concept.
Yeah, if they could abstract, like if they're the type of thinkers that could look at artwork and appreciate, like poetry or paintings or music on multiple levels, they wouldn't be part of cancel culture. I think part of it really is just a concrete, immature thinking style. Not all concrete thinkers are immature, but the cancel culture people are both. They're concrete and immature. There's a lot of growing up that they need to do to fit into kind of an educated and society that appreciates the arts. Comedy doesn't get the same protection. We've talked about this, I think, before. It doesn't get the same protection as a painting. Even if the painting is offensive, people will defend it. But if the comedy is offensive, oh, there must be a terrible person.
Yeah, sure.
It's old, right? It's tired and old, and it keeps coming back up. And I think with what happens next here, of course, is we hear the joke, Jada Pinkett Smith joke, and Chris Rock's up there, and I think he believed it was kind of funny. And then we see Will Smith storms. He didn't run, but he stormed the stage. Like
He's very intentional about
deliberate steps. He's a big guy, right? He's storming up and approaches Chris Rock. He has his hands behind his back. I think he had some type of red card, like probably for reading whatever he was doing. And Will Smith comes across, and he kind of has I noticed his one hand was kind of in a guard, right? He had like here. Just maybe you don't have to do with it when you're slapping people.
Just kind of winding up, perhaps, too.
Yeah, like, well, if you're fighting, people tend to keep their hands kind of here, and it's kind of like this. And it was it was very obvious kind of slap across with his right hand, which struck Chris Rock in the left side of his face, and kind of, I don't know if he was kind of like moving or it actually knocked his head sideways, but and they had the slow-mo things, right? And the still shots. There's one newspaper had some great still shots where it's like you could see every
little bit. Yeah, it made him go far too. Like it was aggressive slap.
Yeah,
I can't think of any other slap that is popular. I mean, is there any other slap that's going to go down in history? Like slapping's just not that kind of thing.
I think there have been some famous movie slaps delivered by actresses to actors. But yeah, in terms of real life slaps.
I mean, that's just not a popular thing. Like maybe people punching someone, but slapping, that's a different category.
It's weird because what Will Smith did was so bizarre and over the top, yet he limited it by not, punching him in the face or pulling out a crowbar or who knows, like whatever. Yeah. It was, I want to say it's just his hand because I'm sure it hurt, but it was an open hand. Probably supposed to be more symbolic than damaging.
Painful, yeah. I guess that is the point of a slap, though. Like every time you see it in a movie, it's associated with let me show you my disapproval.
Right. Can I make this physical without harming you?
Yeah.
Just to teach you that I'm really serious.
Right.
Yeah. It's not something, it's not something really associated with tough guys.
Yeah. No, that's definitely true.
Hey, I think Will Smith kind of fancies himself like kind of a macho man a little bit, but you don't see like biker gangs being like, all right, we're gonna take this outside and do some slapping.
Makes me think of, I want to say maybe like a Mickey cartoon or something like that. Maybe it's not Mickey, but maybe it's Bugs Bunny or something. But they would have like a glove or something. They slap the person with the glove, and then they'd go back and they'd fill the glove up with something like shards of metal or something, and then hit them again, and fill it up with something heavier, hit them again. And it's supposed to be a gentleman's kind of insult, kind of fight. I guess the only way that it could have been talked about more is if he had some kind of glove or something that he just really did it up.
Brass knuckles. I don't know. It was very weird. And there was a moment there right after the slap where Chris Rock tightened his right hand into a fist. It was just a loose fist.
That, yeah, right.
And which I think many people could appreciate. You're gonna come back and strike because you've just been attacked, right? But I think he also realized that he was being watched by millions of people, and probably did not want to move his career in that direction. Yeah,
he had to immediately think of his reaction, both physically and verbally, and also he's right in front of the camera. He's supposed to be hosting at that moment, and I got to keep this moving.
Yeah, it's professionalism. Right. I think he made a good decision. I think being passive in that instance, because Will Smith retreated pretty much immediately. So I think that was wise, because now I think that he was already a trusted person to bring in. I mean, he does a good job. I mean, now who wouldn't trust him? Right. I mean, but any entertainment body would say, yeah, take Chris Rock, because no matter what happens, that guy's going to finish his job.
The show's going to go on no matter what.
They'll be telling jokes, Cars will be flying by, Yeah, I mean, think about it. If you were hosting an event, Chris Rock would be the guy to have.
Yeah, right.
Like, he's solid. Like, nothing can rattle him.
And apparently they didn't spend any money on security guards.
It's extra expense, yeah.
But who would have expected a big movie star like Will Smith to do anything like that? Being up in the front row and just walk right up there and kind of throw caution to the wind.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have expected that? That I'm sure even whatever security they had there, I'm certain that that's not part of their, let's plan for this. All right, we got to watch Will Smith. We got to watch this guy. I'm sure nobody was thinking that beforehand.
Do you remember after 9/11? This is some years back, right? Mm-hmm. There was a time for about 1 or 2 years where people were very, very worried of follow-up attacks.
Yeah.
We still are, but it's, I think there's a lot of safety systems in place. We've addressed a lot of issues, and the world has maybe changed a little. But back then, it was just, no one thought that the towers could be destroyed like that. Like somebody could actually get away with that. Right. And I think it was just a sense that everything was possible in a bad way.
Right.
I remember watching Jay Leno, and the first few times he came back on after 9/11, he had all these security guards stand there. They got the 3-piece suits or whatever, and hands folded, earpieces. I don't know, but it was they were security guards.
Yeah, clear what they were. Right.
And I think of that situation. This would be like if Jay Leno came off the stage and hit him in the back of the head. What are you doing? We're here for you.
Right.
That's like the security guards at the Academy Awards are probably like, this is not the direction that, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand.
This is not supposed to happen. Right. I was in middle school I was in 6th grade when 9/11 happened. And I remember like certain dates after that, because it was 9/11 and, this is the date of such and such. And they could attack now because that's, has some kind of symbolic meaning or something like that. Right. So I remember stuff like that. And it really puts people on edge. So then no matter what the next event is, whether another award ceremony, I don't know, award ceremony, probably other things, maybe movie sets or something, maybe people are going to be on edge there too. And just kind of, maybe that's going to be part of the thought process. What kind of things are unexpected that we might just want to plan for and have kind of a, what if this happens plan?
Yeah, just a contingencies that no one ever could have imagined.
Right.
Like, I think it was too, there's a surreal moment. I think I've talked about before, like, there have been moments in the history of combat, in warfare, where soldiers have done things that are so hazardous that enemy soldiers just watch them. Mm-hmm. Like, run by. Like, I don't even know should I shoot? Like, what do I do?
You've caught me so off guard.
Right. That's happened. And I think that was, those security guards was like, they're probably just their eyes glazed over. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you, just can't believe, I don't even know if I can trust. Like, is this part of this is a routine they're doing. I don't want to tackle them.
Well, that's a fair point too. Maybe you thought that this was, somebody knew about it, but they didn't tell everyone.
They're pulling up the script.
Right.
Like, where's this? Where's
They're radioing in. Is this supposed to happen? Is this supposed to happen? That might have even happened too. Maybe at the next awards, maybe there will be guards up front, security guards or something, or maybe just the way that the actors and actresses walk up there will be different. So there's not just you can walk right up here.
Put their hands up it. I come in peace. This is not an attack.
They'll have to stay, a certain amount away from the host or something. That's quite possible.
Isn't it the Pope that has a bulletproof? Like a Pope mobile. That's what they like the podium.
The awards mobile. They'll have to go up on this bulletproof enclosure.
There'll be like chalk lines. Don't cross the. Got snipers.
Caution tape, the whole thing. You must walk in this line. Yeah, that could happen.
Yeah, I can understand why people have been so interested in this event. There really is. I can't think of anything like it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue like Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson, Super Bowl, like
unexpected and very publicized. And
Yeah, and that was, I think that was a hoax or staged. I think they.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm almost positive that was something that they both agreed upon. I don't know whose idea it was, but I think they both agreed upon it and did it. I believe they deny that. I think their official position is.
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, looking at the evidence, I'm highly unconvinced. I think they did this here with Chris Rock and Will Smith. I mean, who knows? But I think he really did go up there and hit him.
Seems genuine to me. Yeah.
I haven't seen.
Just that. I think if it was staged, Chris would have had something kind of ready for it. I mean, he played it off very well. He continued everything, but I feel like they would have been able to move forward a little bit better. Maybe Will would have not said exactly what he said.
Right. Yeah. Get something like get my wife's name out of your blank mouth, and they repeated
right.
And it was really like you could see. Well, obviously he was angry, but it was dominant. Like he was really mad and trying to be a bully.
Right.
Like what was he going to do? Go up and slap him again? Maybe. I don't know.
Although it looked like, I know we don't have all video from it, but it looked like right after Chris Rock said that joke that Will was laughing.
He was, yeah.
And it wasn't totally clear what Jada was doing.
Well, she rolled
smiling,
her eyes.
But then it kind of...
She rolled her eyes and kind of like...
Yeah. So I'd be curious to see what exactly that was like for Will, if we had video of that, going from that laughing to I'm changing how I'm reacting to this. Because clearly he did very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened, but we can always speculate. I think that he got the look.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
I think he was like, oh, that's pretty funny. Maybe he liked the original G.I. Jane, and the G.I. Jane 2 joke really connected with him. Mm-hmm. He's made movies. He made action type movies. Independence Day, Men in Black was more like a comedy action, but he appreciates a rough and tumble movie where things get broken, and maybe he thought that was hysterical. And I picture kind of Jada Pinkett Smith looking over like, are you kidding me?
The minute that their eyes connected and his smile and his laugh went from, I'm having the wrong reaction.
Yeah. I need to fix this now with some violent move. That's the part, doesn't compute, right? Like, stop laughing, okay. But charge the stage and commit what almost certainly seems like a criminal act, even though he was never arrested or convicted. I mean, if he really hit him, I don't see how that wouldn't be a crime. On no planet would that be okay.
Right. It really speaks. I mean, we haven't talked about it yet, but the history between Jada and Will Smith is complicated. Is very publicized too, because they talk about it a lot, and
oddly,
right? Mm-hmm. And it really speaks to. It allows a lot of room for speculation, that maybe the intensity of his reaction and how quickly and abruptly it changed from laughing to slapping to, charging and everything. It really brings up a lot of room for speculation that did that have anything to do with the marriage issues, that he felt like he needed to defend her or defend himself or prove himself or any number of those things. Maybe it has no relationship at all to that. Maybe, I don't know, but there's certainly a lot of room for speculation there.
Well, I mean, there was a Red Table Talk that was on. There was millions of views. When I watched it to prepare for the video that I did about it a long time ago, it was already, I want to say it like 20 million. I think within a few days it was 25 million. I don't know where it ended up. It was a very popular video.
Well, after this, it's got to be hundreds of millions.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine. And my understanding is they're going to, I think this is true. I think I heard this early on, that they were going to talk about this on Red Table Talk. I don't know if that's still the plan, but if they did, that'd be one of the biggest videos ever.
Right.
Like, I mean, I would be inclined to do it in their position, just because it's so, there's going to be so many people engaged, and they'll be able to get their message out there, whatever that is.
Right.
assuming they have a positive message, which at this point they probably do. Right. But in the original one, it was a very weird session.
Mm-hmm. The dynamic on those, I've only watched 2, just in preparation for this. The dynamic on those is, I don't know, I think it's strange, but at the same time, a married couple talking about their marriage openly and publicly, probably going to be strange no matter what.
It had it had a feel to it that seemed like immature. Mm-hmm. This wasn't like, for the number of years they were married. Yeah. It felt more like they got married 2 days before.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, it didn't seem like they had really useful communication style.
Now, my take on that is, I thought something very similar. That I guess that's what I meant by strange. Just, I don't. It's tough to figure it out, but my take on that was, they're both actors, and maybe there's an aspect of that they just know what to bring to the table. Literally, they just know how to act. You know, how to be present on camera to connect best with the audience, whether that's how they would naturally act or not, mm-hmm. Whether that's how they would naturally behave or not. So I'm thinking that there's a large aspect of that it's just, this is a continuance of their acting.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, that training is certainly something they keep in mind. They can draw upon it.
Right.
One moment I found really odd in that in particular, that I believe captured the essence or an important part of it, was kind of like the whole thing about their, I don't know if it's an arrangement or affair. I mean, I think Jada Pinkett Smith used the word entanglement, which only further kind of muddies the waters.
At some point, she did say it was a relationship.
That sounds like affair, right? I mean,
right. Yeah. Without actually using that word, right?
Yeah. But then, I've seen other reports or rumors that maybe it was an open marriage or something. You didn't really get that feel from that. Like, I don't know where that comes from. And, maybe there's other sources that say that, but it sure seemed like an affair. Entanglement has that quality to it. Like, you use that word as euphemism.
Mm-hmm. How could you be entangled with someone without having an affair with
right.
them? What is entanglement without?
Are they playing Twister?
Literal entanglement.
Right. Yeah. We were just bored, so we went in the closet and apparently took a trip back to the 70s.
Thumb wars or something, and they were entangled in their hands, and maybe they both had long hair at the time, and their hair got tangled up. Right? I guess there's a lot of possibilities.
Silly string. Yeah, so, affairs are really harmful. And to talk about it, I felt like Jada Smith was completely comfortable, mm-hmm. stone cold right. comfortable. Right. And just, she wasn't going to be rattled. Mm-hmm. Not even close. Yeah. And Will Smith was like self-destructing. But I think his acting skills made it look better than it was.
Yeah, right.
But it didn't look good. Mm-hmm. It looked like he was... It struck me like he had some serious questions to ask. Yeah. And he went ahead and asked him, almost like forgetting or not caring that they were going to transmit that, publish that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if that's what you choose to do with your life, that everything's just going to be out there, then I guess that's the only direction you can go. Like, if we're going to be public about things we deal with and about our marriage and struggles and everything, why don't we just make a show about it? It seems like a terrible idea to me, mm-hmm. personally. And certainly there are many famous people who are very intentional about keeping their personal lives out of the public eye, which is great, I think, for very good reason. I don't really see a benefit to really airing out everything about your life.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially the negative. I mean, if they want to talk about an upcoming movie or project,
sure,
that maybe how it affected their family, something personal, but to talk about that, mm-hmm. it's not indicative of great boundaries.
No.
And if they're willing to have that boundary with the entire world, entire audience, what is their boundary like with each other?
It's a great question. It's not really like, yeah. When I think of marriage, that's not what I think of. And I know that I'm probably a bit more traditional about marriage than some might be. But marriage takes a lot of work. And it's a very personal thing, of course, something that you share with one person. And they choose to share it with hundreds of millions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a big commitment they made.
You think that was part of the vows? I promise to honor you and everyone else.
Well, maybe they had so much commitment power stored up and they didn't use it on each other. So I don't know. I mean, there's also this ride or die. Remember that?
Right, yeah.
Which I think is from a movie
Uh-huh.
that maybe Will Smith did or somebody did. But
Was that
is that Bad Boys?
Bad Boys? Yeah.
There's like Bad Boys 2 as well. Is there? I don't know how many Bad Boys there
I
are.
want to say, did they come out with a third one as well recently? I don't know. I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, I don't. I think I saw part of the first one, maybe like enough minutes to know it wasn't going to work out. And I wisely avoided future Bad Boys. But yeah, so the ride or die, essentially, the connotation could be that you can do anything and I can do anything and we'll still be together.
Right.
Doesn't make a lot of sense. But
Jada said something, and there was a Bad Boys 2, and then Bad Boys for Life came out 2 years ago in 2020. So there's 3 of them. But Jada did say something similar to that. She had tweeted or posted something somewhere similar to that, and multiple times over the years in response to rumors, saying something like, talking about their marriage, something like, Will and I trust each other completely, and he can do anything he wants, and I trust him.
mm-hmm.
Now, when you hear that, you're like, so you're saying he can, like, outside of marriage, do anything he wants? Is that what you mean by that? But she went on to say after that that, that we're not divorced, our marriage is still intact. But in the same paragraph, he can do anything he wants, we trust each other, we're soulmates, we're this, we're that. And it's a confusing message.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, like, if I was saying that, I'd be like, what do I even believe? What do I even think about my spouse? But for the world, probably for Will as well. Like, it's just, that doesn't solidify anything. And her job is not to make sure the public knows her intentions. But if she's going to put it all out there and continue to make it more ambiguous and double down on ambiguity, that's a good way to do it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they had this, that Red Table Talk thing. That allowed, you could read a lot into that. Mm-hmm. I think it was designed to be a little fuliginous, like it's supposed to be murky,
right,
and cryptic.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it becomes a little clearer in light of the loss of temper that we see by Will Smith in a situation that involved his wife.
Yeah. This
wasn't like he was walking down the street and somebody's like, "Hey, Will Smith, you're terrible." And he's like, "I'm going to slap you." This was something that an insult. He took it as an insult. Again, it was comedy, but he took it as an insult and then felt obligated or empowered, or however one wants to think about it, to conduct a physical attack.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the history there is significant. So I want to update on the crime part. Right, this has been a big thing. Right. People were shocked. Like, why wasn't he arrested?
Right.
Again, if it wasn't an act, it sure looks like a crime.
Mm-hmm. And at the very least, why was he still there to accept the award not too long after that? And there was some, at some point, somebody said he was asked to leave, but I think after that, it was clarified and that he maybe wasn't asked to leave. I don't know if you have more information on that. That's the last I heard about it.
The Academy Awards said, the official whatever representatives said that they did, but then there's been some other reports that they may have been kind of soft with the request, like a suggestion, or then some other reports say a discussion, like it never reached Will Smith. I don't know. He should have known he needed to leave.
Sure.
Like, I don't know why he was, like, he should have just left, not going back to a seat.
Yeah.
I mean, usually when you do something like that, you create distance. You don't hang around for the police.
Right.
But
or for the awkward moments after that, like now he's up on stage crying after having just attacked someone. Like, this is getting weird. Yeah. No apology still, but this is getting weird. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll talk about his speech. I think that would be important to touch on, kind of like how that fit in. But in terms of the what the aftermath, what I read today, and this can change. And part of it I read earlier. So the first thing was that somebody was talking about how they saw Chris Rock being dismissive of the police when the police were saying what they could do.
Sure.
Like not dismissive, like rude way, but like, I don't want to just let it go.
I don't want to press charges. Right.
A more recent report that I saw today indicated that the police have said that the way it works is like Chris Rock would have needed to say, stop that guy or whatever, arrest that guy, or any eyewitness could have come to them and effected a citizen's arrest through them. Now, this, I don't know if this is peculiar to, unusual, specific rather to California.
Sure.
Many states have a citizen's arrest. I've always thought of it as like a more serious crime, like if you see a felony.
Right.
But I guess if you talk to an officer, they just call that a citizen's arrest, right? If you say, look, that guy just hit me, and I'm telling you, and you go arrest him, you're, as a police officer, you're affecting a citizen's arrest, I guess, because it's based on the word of the citizen. I don't know. But that's the language the LAPD used. So they said, if anybody who, not a television viewer, but if any eyewitness had come to them and said, hey, officer, get him. I saw him slap Chris Rock, they would have arrested him. So in an audience full of people who definitely saw it,
right.
I would say some might have been their cell phones or fooling around, or whatever, but like looking around.
Yeah.
But say 80% saw it. None of them told the police. Tons of people who saw it on television called the police and the FCC.
Yeah.
But of course, the FCC is not going to, they're not going to arrest somebody for slapping, but they were upset.
The language, right. I don't know if that was, I don't think that was actually aired, but
no,
that's the only thing they.
Well, the violence too. That's not, you don't expect that in the.
Right.
It's not. Yeah, it doesn't make it safe for children to watch anymore.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, you got a room full of people that just saw the attack, but I would imagine that they're just kind of waiting to take a cue from somebody that was involved. Like, oh, this is Chris's decision. If he decides he wants to do something about it, if the police wants to do something about it, then that's up to him. But I don't know. That's a tough situation because nobody should have to put up with that.
I doubt that the audience members knew that they even could do that.
That's fair. Yeah.
And probably they didn't want to get involved.
Right.
You probably have to sign some paperwork or testify or whatever.
Give a statement. Yeah, right. And that makes sense. I'm sure they were all pretty shocked too. Didn't know what was going to come out of that, and probably expected the Academy to take care of it. Now, Will Smith did withdraw from the Academy or resign from the Academy or something along those lines.
Yeah, my understanding about that is so he can't, vote. He doesn't get screeners anymore. The short or the unofficial movies that you can watch. He doesn't lose his award for that.
Right.
And theoretically, he could be invited back.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's permanent.
Okay. I thought that was, he's out. He can't be invited back.
No, I think he could be. I don't think he will be.
Sure.
But who knows?
Yeah.
Not
unless he was in his own box seat or something where he can't get out and
Hannibal Lecter. Sure. They wheel him.
He's completely tied up. Has some kind of thing in his mouth. He can't do anything.
when he wins, they're wheeling him up on the.
Yeah, that's the only way I can see him coming back. There is completely closed off. Oh, he wins, and the camera's searching all around for him. Oh, he's in the box, and they go in there, and he's.
Or it's like a webcam thing. Like he's often.
Now we have this video of Will Smith, and then inevitably he smacks the webcam off, and then he's back in the same boat. Violence against webcams now is his claim to fame.
Well, it's almost like some people are famous for like just one phrase they repeat in a sitcom or whatever. He's like the slapping actor. Goes around slapping everybody.
Yeah, I known for a lot of good movies, but now he's just known as the guy who slapped Chris Rock. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So going over to his acceptance speech that never should have happened.
Yeah.
Right. I talked about this in another video. He blamed, if you think about it, if you itemize it, he blamed everybody, everywhere, including deities, God, if you want to call Satan a deity, but demon, whatever. Right. So, he blamed God, he blamed Satan, blamed love. He had a long list.
Love made me do it, or love makes you do crazy things. Mm-hmm. What did he say about God? I don't remember what exactly he said.
Let me see if I can find
or
that.
If it was something about a demon or something about evil. Yeah, I forget what he said.
Well, he talked about Denzel Washington. The Satan part came up with Denzel Washington. Told him something like when you're at your high point, that's when Satan comes in.
Yeah.
So that was that. I think God was. I thought he said something to the effect of. I thought he said something about God. I don't remember exactly, but
well, either way, I mean, in acceptance speech, God comes up pretty regularly. So if you're looking for someone to blame,
he was told to do something, or he was supposed to, as like commanded to. I don't know, but yeah, I thought it came up somewhere in there. And then, of course, he talked about the people in the movie, and really talk about destroying their day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow, I would be so angry if I worked hard to achieve something like that.
Right.
And then this guy goes up and for something ridiculous steals he took the entire show.
Yeah. Right.
Whoever won Best Picture, who knows? Whoever won Best whatever, who knows?
It should be noted, though, Samuel L. Jackson got his first award ever at that award ceremony. So, yeah, you're right. He stole the show, and that's something that, many people probably wouldn't have watched the award ceremony anyway, but that's a very significant thing. A great actor like Samuel L. Jackson had apparently never gotten an award before. And I think he got Best Actor. I just looked it up, but now I forget. I think he got Best Actor. But yeah, obviously a very significant thing.
Yeah, but again, who
knew? Right.
Yeah. Oh, here's the thing. He referenced God. So he was overwhelmed by what God was calling him to do and to be in the world.
And what is that he's called to be in the world?
He has a lot of people he needs to slap. That's all I can think of.
Called to be an actor, but called to slap people.
Some people need a slapping. That's all there is to it, right?
Well, that's that is an overwhelming thing. I'll give him that. If his calling in life is to slap people, then he's got a lot of work to do. Mm-hmm. He's got a lot of places to be. Mm-hmm. An award ceremony is probably a good place for that. You got a lot of people in one area. A lot of people that he knows, comedians, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I guess he was in the right place to accomplish that. I think we really need to keep him away from public areas, from well-populated areas. Yeah,
you could go on a slapping rampage.
You called it Slapgate before, and I thought that was a perfect name. And I'm surprised I don't see more of that in the headlines. But yeah, Samuel L. Jackson. Now, it said Best Actor, but I'm also reading here that honorary Oscar for his lifetime achievement in movies. So I'm not quite sure the actual specific award. But either way, he got his first ever Oscar that night.
I wonder if they should change. So Oscar is an informal reference to the little statuette, whatever they call it. And they should, they need to make one. Remember those toys? I don't know if they had these when you were a kid. When I was a kid, they had these toys where you could, I never had any, but you could push like a button and the action figure would move. I never had any of those, but I saw other kids had them. Like a wrestling guy, you push a button in his back and he would do like this.
Oh, yeah. Or like, I'm used to seeing the ones that are in like a boxing ring or a wrestling ring and they like punch each other.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's the same thing that you're referencing.
Similar. Yeah. And, think of like the statuette, you can, like a string or a button and it swings.
Just comes up from the side. And yeah, that would be perfect. I mean, who wouldn't buy that?
Who wouldn't want to win that? Right?
Exactly. Yeah. That looks much better than a regular Oscar.
All the ones from the 94th should have been that.
Everyone should give them back so they can get the slap version. We come up with a lot of good ideas for things that should be made, shows that should be made, things that actors and people should do.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we're probably never going to do any of those things. We're probably not going to make a toy that just pulls something and slaps people. But maybe there's someone out there that will. And credit us with that, if you will. If you do that, credit us with that. But it's a perfect idea. Certainly the memes have been perfect. And the those that spend a lot of time on the internet have it's been their heyday. One of the I think I mentioned this when we did Jussie Smollett, but there was my favorite meme that came out of all of this is a picture of Jussie Smollett, and he said, "Will slapped me too," and it fits right in. It's perfect. There's so much comedy that just comes out of this, unfortunately, but it's everybody's heard about it. That's for sure.
Well, I picture an actor, say 20 years from now, 30 years from now, depending on their age, retired perhaps, mm-hmm. living in Malibu, wherever I assume they all live in Malibu. I don't know. But big mansion,
right?
Kind of like a Sunset Boulevard feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Old movie, but
yeah,
about an older actress, and some youngster, like a grandchild, great grandchild, whatever,
right.
stumbles in the house, and mother's like, I gotta go, pick up whatever, stay here with your actor grandfather, great grandfather, or whatever,
right.
And he sees the statuette, the kid, like, what was that for? Oh, it's an Academy Award, otherwise known as an Oscar.
Right.
It's kind of a big deal when you're in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Kid's like, I don't even. All right, whatever. On the phone, on the cell phone.
All right, whatever you say, Grandpa.
He's like, it's the one where Will Smith slapped the guy. What?
Whoa, you were there. Why isn't this the slap version of the Oscar? Oh,
kid's trying to push the button.
I've heard about this. It would be even better if it's like, son, come sit on my knee, and it's this, very, very classic type. Let me tell you a story about the Oscar, about the Academy Awards, and Grandpa, you made that up. Nobody gets slapped on live TV. You know that.
The door closes behind the kid when he leaves, and he's on his cell phone. It was true. Let me back in. I want your
Grandpa,
autograph.
this was in the 2020s. Nothing like that ever happened.
The cancel culture would have taken care of that. There are heroes. Yeah. Well, this certainly, I think, changed a lot. It might have been, people are like, oh, it's just a slap. It was a breach of trust.
Yeah.
That, that's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't think that, just like I said, that, I'm pretty confident anyone can trust Chris Rock. I can't say the same about Will Smith.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
He was the polar opposite.
Yeah, right. You could have likely said that before, and
mm-hmm.
I didn't see any reason why not. Certainly I'm not an actor or not part of that culture or anything, but I personally didn't see any reason that people wouldn't have been able to trust his decision-making skills. But
Yeah, I don't think he really has a history of trouble. I know that there was something when he was 19 where I think he was arrested and held overnight because he allegedly ordered his bodyguard to attack somebody. Nothing came of it. He was never convicted of anything. I think he was out the next day, and that was it. I'm not aware of any other legal entanglements at all.
And him being a child actor, I mean, he was big in his teenage years. Maybe before that, I'm not really sure, but definitely in his teenage years. There's not a great outcome for people who start acting young because you've got a lot of growing up to do. You're often doing that growing up in the public eye. And there's a lot of pressure there as well, of course. Now, I think he had some really great influences in his life. And yeah, I mean, obviously had a very good career. And I think, as far as I know, was a positive role model for a lot of people and well-liked. Of course, he had his music career as well. He continued to act as a teenager, but also all throughout his life. So obviously was very desirable in movies, many different kind of movies. And I think did a lot of soul searching as well and tried to understand where he came from and who he is and who he was and his family influence and so forth. So, yeah, well-liked for good reason, I think. And this could really be something that ruins a lot about his career. Maybe not all of it, but certainly ruins a big portion of it.
I think it has defined him. Which is pretty amazing considering there are actors who've done much worse that have recovered.
Sure.
But again, this day and age, and to do it during the Oscars. Like if you heard a story, if you read in the news that Will Smith slapped a guy, even another famous guy, in a bar, at a dance club, at a movie premiere, it would be a story, but it wouldn't be like, oh, we're not going to hire Will Smith.
Sure.
It was the lack of judgment. It's almost like, think about like New York City, right? In New York City, at nighttime, it's actually not that dangerous, but it has a reputation depending on where you are. And you're outside, you're walking past like an exclusive club. It's got one of those lines where everybody's trying to get in.
Yeah. The velvet
rope
and all that.
Got the big guy being like, no, you're not good looking enough.
Right. I'm with him. Yeah.
I'm really well known.
Right.
I'm on social media. You're not gonna worry about getting robbed right there because there's tons of people. Yeah. And even the most desperate criminal would typically wait until you're in a block over where there's no lights and it's like an alley.
Right.
We just assume that witnesses, cameras, exposure prevents crime. Historically, it does. There's something very worrisome about somebody who cannot regulate their urge to commit a crime when 2 million, 3 million, whatever people are watching. What? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Somebody who doesn't think of the consequences of that or consider what they're about to do, potentially. Now, some might say that he did consider what he was about to do. Right. He was very conscious of it. At the same time, though, you can be conscious of what you're about to do without realizing this could really mess up a lot of things for me. And obviously that's a big part of taking actions like that, not realizing that this has far-reaching consequences.
Maybe he wanted to defend Jada's honor in front of millions of people. But yet he apologized, sort of, in the acceptance speech. He didn't apologize to Chris Rock. Right. Later he did. Right. Instagram or... Nothing says sincerity like... I think it was Instagram or something like that, right? Yeah, like a social media post.
Right. Yeah, violence is... He said something about violence or...
Violence bad.
Yeah, violence. That was essentially the message, right?
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? He didn't really get the support, but he kind of got the support of O.J. Simpson.
Mm-hmm.
And so O.J. said what was wrong for his actions, but O.J. understood the feeling. And if there's anyone's support that you don't want to
Right.
get for a violent act, it's O.J. Simpson. And so O.J. went on to make it about himself. Actually, the rest of the statement was pretty much about him and how, like, there's a bunch of comedians he wants to slap because everyone has had and has an O.J. bit in their routine. So, but then he also said something like, if he had slapped somebody on TV, he would have got 30 years or a life sentence or something like that. He said, especially what happened with him in Vegas with stealing those things and all that kind of stuff. And he's right, but no one wants the support of O.J. Simpson.
No. To be fair, now I'm obviously not a fan of O.J. and I think he killed those people. I know he was found not guilty, but that doesn't change common sense. Right. I mean, technically, legally, he's not guilty. In reality, I'm pretty sure he did it. And I think what happened in Las Vegas was that judge was going to make sure he paid for what most people consider a terrible verdict by the jury in Los Angeles. Right. So yeah, it was an armed robbery, right? It was like memorabilia, he was trying to get back or something. Right. It was a serious crime, but probably a 2-year, 3 year, like, that's what you would picture for that. Yeah. Unfortunately, maybe, but if he had no criminal record, with him being famous and good legal representation, like F. Lee Bailey represented him among other famous attorneys in the California trial, the homicide trial. But yeah, I mean, I think that judge saw an opportunity to, and maybe the prosecutors too, like everyone, the system, like, let's fix what happened. That's not how justice works, though. Right.
What I read today that, and I didn't realize this, and I don't know the accuracy of this, I guess, either, but obviously he was found criminally not guilty. But there was something at some point after that he was found liable for it. Not
he lost the civil trial.
Civilly,
yeah, he really lost. Yeah, the family of the guy he killed, I think.
Okay.
Sued Goldman, something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I can't remember his name, but I'll look it up. But the family of that guy sued and won a massive judgment against him. And it was a short putt. I mean, everyone knew he did it. Right. So the civil jury's like, we're pretty sure he did it.
All he needed to do was not include the glove in a trial, and that might have done it. I was watching something a few years ago about somebody had said that, as long as he didn't take his blood pressure medication that day, his hands would swell up and the glove wouldn't fit. And revealing things like that is very telling. Yeah,
Ron Goldman was the person with Nicole Brown Simpson. Right. Yeah. He also had, he did have a dream team of attorneys. And we've reviewed enough cases to know that the quality of the defense attorney is a major variable. Right. Can never dismiss that variable. Right. A bad attorney can lose any case, and a good attorney can win just about any case, even with a lot of evidence against somebody, because there's other things they can do, like challenging that, like to keep that evidence out of court, right? To exclude it. So there's, cross-examination of witnesses. There's a lot that a good attorney can do. And yeah, he had F. Lee Bailey, had Kardashian, just an incredible team. And it was Marcia Clark, who is the prosecutor, who's a good attorney, very good, actually, very intelligent. And I think she had one helper. It was two of them, but they were just outgunned. Yeah, even though they were bright, like I think they were competent and bright. I've seen Marcia Clark on other things, other media products. She's smart. Yeah, like she knows what she's doing, but she was going against an incredible team.
It makes me think of the fifth season of fifth or sixth Better Call Saul just came out on Netflix, and it makes me think of that character of Saul Goodman, or whatever his real name is in the show, but
Jimmy McGill.
Jimmy McGill, yeah, right, and how he, not necessarily a good attorney, although he gets a lot of people off. He's not trustworthy, I guess, maybe you would say, but it's the difference between someone who's willing to go to any lengths to do the best for their client, versus someone who maybe is doing the bare minimum, but which is not the case for O.J. Simpson or for the defense or the prosecution. But yeah, to your point, the attorney that you have, if you can afford it, is going to make a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, too, that with some offices, like when they look at prosecuting a case, if you have a big name attorney, they know they're going to spend millions of dollars on that case, and they might want to convict, 100 other people that they could do for that money.
Right.
And, the plea deal is a little easier to get. It is a financial game in the end.
Yeah.
And counties, states don't have unlimited resources to prosecute. Right. Now, O.J. Simpson, would have bankrupted California, they would have done it. But for a lot of cases, offices are not willing to fight and spend tons of money on every case.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate system, of course, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it means that if you're wealthy, you have a lot better chance. Yeah. A lot better. Yeah. But yeah, so this case of Will Smith doesn't have a legal component. I don't know if it ever will. I don't know what the statute of limitations is for. I'm guessing that would be like a misdemeanor assault, something like that, assault and battery, or battery. Right. Something that would normally not even have jail time. But it's not the punishment. It's the idea that no one's exempt.
The principle of it. Yeah. And even if you were to get charged with something, convicted with something, it's very likely that Will wouldn't spend any time in jail. But that may be some kind of a slap on the wrist type thing.
It's probably a year probation or 6 months probation and a fine. Write an apology letter.
Fairly inconsequential.
Yeah, that's what I would picture. I mean, I doubt the statute really can account for the widespread, like all the people seeing that, like the damage that he did, kind of affecting so many people. Right. Because that's not criminal. So it certainly was one of the most public offenses one could imagine.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. If it was that this happened or something similar happened in a bar, in a club, in some kind of public area or something, that it probably wouldn't have been. People would have cared, but wouldn't have been what it is. And especially if there wasn't video of it, there'd be a lot more questions, maybe, and less public interest, maybe. But there are, there's a lot to this one, and a lot of video too. Of course, direct video of it, and probably one of the worst things he could have done, short of killing someone. But one of the worst things he could have done that was not, I guess, inherently. I mean, it was criminal, I guess, but it was an assault, but
it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, right.
And
walking that line.
Yeah, if you look at these other actors, I mean, there's actors at DUI. DUI is more serious than what Will Smith did. There's actors who have used drugs, a lot of drugs, to the point where they could have died or did die. Right. I mean, so you see, criminality is pretty widespread in Hollywood with those types of offenses, especially drug and alcohol. So a slap, I mean, not a big deal except for how it happened. I think that's why I think it's really killed his career. I don't see him coming back. But But time's weird, right? Like maybe in 10 years, he'll be 63 then. Go out for some parts. People will give him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be kind of like backing away. They tell a joke.
Maybe his next role is where he slaps someone.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just kind of, let me lean right into it.
Yeah, well, he could play himself in a
movie about the Academy Awards. What he did get for best for a biography, right? Was that the category that he won for? That was the category that Chris Rock was.
I think it was best documentary.
I'm sorry, documentary. That's what I meant. Yeah. So maybe they do a documentary on the Academy Awards.
Mm-hmm.
He stars in it. Let me recreate this.
Yeah, maybe there's a way back in. I don't know. It's just a matter of trust, and I just don't see how he gets it back, ever.
Yeah, well, and they're doing a lot with this Red Table Talk thing. I think they film those pretty regularly and produce them pretty regularly.
It's a popular show.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe he doubles down on that and then tries to make that more. I don't know. I kind of think more people are going to watch that now. I mean, they already have because of this.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe more people are going to watch it in anticipation of, how's Will going to address the slap?
Mm-hmm.
As, maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, if you think about it, with his career, I mean, it would be unfair for him never to be able to work again because of this. But I just don't know how you come back from having such a disrespect for the Academy. I mean, they're like all the big wigs in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're offending all of them at one time.
Right.
It's yeah. It's a tough sell.
Yeah.
It's like the worst possible venue for, as you mentioned, like I can't picture any worse venue for an actor who wants to continue working.
Mm-hmm. He could, help kind of focus on his kids now as well, and maybe whatever things that they're interested in, whatever kind of ventures they're doing, whether acting or singing or whatever else. I'm not really sure what they're into most recently.
How about like public service announcements about like anti-slapping campaigns?
There you go.
Like,
there's got to be money available for that
mm-hmm.
in some county, in some state somewhere.
Right. We got the anti-DUI, you got the anti-drug use. I'm sure there's like anti-robbery, different programs, anti-weapon. Get in there and put an end to slapping.
This could be, you could think of an acronym. So we had DARE, of course.
Right, the failed program.
Failed program. I mean, there's got to be, can we come up with an acronym? Like the word is will, like the acronym,
or the word slap,
or slap. There you go, even better. But it's got to be clever like that. Otherwise, there's no way it's going to catch on.
Yeah, we'll have to work on that. Yeah. That could be another idea that we put out there.
There you go for the world to use.
I think there is an opportunity for him in all seriousness, in that like to promote the arts, like to say like slapping a comedian is like pushing a painter into an easel. Like it's one of the worst things you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of disgusting.
Yeah.
And kind of talk about that, like we should be open to a free expression of ideas and including artwork.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not sure Will Smith's that complicated. I don't get the sense that he has a great understanding of why he did it or what he did.
That's fair.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem. He seems simple, right? I mean, I don't mean that in an insulting way, but just like he reacts simply.
Yeah. Right.
Someone insults his wife, gets up and slaps him.
Mm-hmm.
There was I don't know if you saw this. It was in Spanish, so I didn't really understand what the guy was saying, but there was a video of him on some Spanish game show or a game show where they spoke Spanish. I don't know what country it was.
Right.
But there was I don't know if Will Smith speaks Spanish.
I don't know. I'm not aware of it, but it's very possible.
I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that was the language that was being spoken. Maybe it was in English and they translated it to Spanish. I don't know what happened there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a game show, and there was some guy who was complimenting Jada and Will Smith was like kind of half funny, half not funny, kind of like threatening him, like, be careful what you say.
Yeah.
And like, did you see that? Like, it was pretty frightening in light of the Academy Award thing.
Huh.
And the guy eventually said something polite and non-offensive, and he was like, kind of being deferent. And I think it's what Will Smith wanted. He wanted to dominate him, like again, kind of macho, out of control thing.
Yeah,
that he's got going on.
No, I didn't see that, but given the Academy Award situation, it does seem to line up.
Yeah, there was another situation on some. It looked like some public place, like some event where Will Smith touched a guy's face. Wasn't clear if he slapped him, kind of like went out and struck him.
Yeah.
The guy came in, I guess, kissed him or something.
Like pushed him away, kind of thing.
Yeah, he kind of slapped him. Like he pushed him away. I think he pushed him away, or distance was created. But then, like on his way out, as he was walking, he kind of struck him. But it wasn't. It was more like, I'm going to get you back for just doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
That one didn't seem like as big a deal, because I can picture that as kind of a snap reaction to somebody
Right.
Closing on the space. But
Right.
but the one on the television show, the whatever country that was in, that one seemed like, again, this unhealthy dynamic with protecting, like overprotecting and inappropriately protecting.
Right. Well, yeah, maybe that, again, in my mind, that brings up, the complicated history that they have and feeling like he needs to prove himself, or needs to prove himself so that he can protect their marriage, or obviously we don't know. But it's not a good look.
As I talked about in the video I did, one of the videos I did, I think I have 3 at this point that I've done about it. You wonder when affairs happen, and I expand on this a little more, but like when affairs happen, the perception often is that, use an example of like a man married to a woman, and the woman has an affair, because that's what we are to understand happened with Will and Jada.
Right.
There's this reality, or at least this perception, that the woman's going to select a male with exaggerated masculine characteristics.
Sure.
Right, like physically strong, a temper, like a tough guy, like a military, police mindset, a sensation seeker, skydiver type, and of course, better looking.
Yeah.
More able to protect her.
Yeah.
Right. That's kind of like the framework that it gets pictured in. And I wonder if that hasn't caused kind of if that's the way Will Smith perceived Jada's relationship. I think it was like with a musician.
Yeah. What was his name? August Alsina.
Yeah, he didn't, as I mentioned in my other video, he didn't seem like overly masculine, just like a normal level of masculine. But maybe Will Smith saw him as like, oh, he's like, protecting her, and with his musician groupies or entourage, like who I don't,
Right.
And and now Will Smith, he's gonna be like very defensive, like prove I'm tough.
Yeah,
I'll even destroy my career for you. Which, okay, I mean, fair enough. He did that, right?
Go right ahead, I guess.
I mean, if that's what he was trying to prove, mission accomplished.
Yeah, and often in those situations, perhaps the other person is looking for something that they're not getting in their current relationship, and so I'm sure it's easy for the man to perceive that and be thinking, I'm better than him, or trying to overcompensate, trying to make up for that. I'm better than him. He's not better than I am. August Alsina being a musician, Will Smith, of course, being a musician as well, and trying to kind of rank higher maybe, and trying to prove that position in the world, but I think especially in Jada's life. And yeah, so obviously a lot to work through in a situation like that, and not an easy thing, not something that is solved or fixed, sometimes ever, but certainly not overnight. But again, the best place to work through that, in my opinion, is not publicly.
No, and I kind of think of like the paranoia. Like, imagine if Will Smith, again, I'm just speculation, I don't know what he thought, but let's say that hypothetically he thought that, and that was one of his mechanisms, was this protective mechanism to be more masculine or tough or protective or whatever it's supposed to be. This is like he's looking over his shoulder his entire life.
Yeah.
Everything's a threat. Every man can steal his wife away if he's not tough enough.
Right.
Like, so that's a lot of anxiety and fear. And as I mentioned, paranoia, which can lead to violence, right? To act out.
Being hypervigilant like that, feeling like you need to be hypervigilant like that, is enough to literally make someone go crazy. That they can't just live their life, but they have to be worried about what threat is coming their way, what somebody's going to do, or what's going to happen in their life, or something like that. It robs you of your life because you're constantly looking for threats.
That's a great point. I would agree, right? And this brings me to my next thought here is, what is a relationship worth? If he is looking over his shoulder, regardless of how he conceptualizes why, it does seem to be looking over his shoulder.
Sure.
Right? He's sensitive to threats. Is the marriage, it's up to them, but is that kind of marriage worth it? Is that, I don't know. I mean, he literally destroyed his career over this dynamic, whatever it is. Is it satisfying? Is it like in his big mansion somewhere thinking, I taught that Chris Rock guy a lesson, regardless of my apology? Or is he thinking, wow, I'm really not making good decisions lately?
Right. Remorse, or still masculine kind of. Yeah. I can appreciate they've repeatedly said it, Jada and Will have repeatedly said that divorce is not an option. Will has been divorced before, and that's part of his motivation. I don't want to do that again. I felt like a failure, etc. So I can appreciate that mindset of divorce is not an option. But I think the way to go about it, if you're having issues in your relationship, the way to go about it is not, let's make this more public. Let's really post on social media. Let's start a video thing where we're talking all about it every week. Change something. If that's the case, and you're like, we got problems here, change something. You got to really work on that. And if you're separated, then then that's what it is. But if divorce is not an option for you, then your option there is to change something. Is to really work on something, as opposed to let's continue some of these same patterns and act out and try to overcompensate and feel like I need to constantly be looking over my shoulder. That doesn't scream change to me. That screams just continuing with the same behaviors.
Yeah, I think in a way, on the Red Table Talk, maybe they were trying to convince the audience that they had figured something out. They were sharing the wisdom of that they've accumulated through their relationship. But what they showed the audience was they haven't figured anything out. Yeah. And how tragically misguided many of their notions are. So they did educate, just not the message. It's like, the analogy would be like if there was a video, a channel or page where you restored a car every episode, and you're like, oh, we're really proud of today's car, so whatever, 57 Chevy, say, and it's like, go ahead and start it up, Bob, and we'll show the audience how we really tuned it, and fire breaks out under the hood, and it's like, is it supposed to do that? Do these parts go in there? I didn't.
I had these extra ones. I didn't think they.
I figured this got duplicates from the store. So it's like it's not finished.
Right.
Yet you're trying to run it, and I think that's what the relationship feels like. Except sometimes you can never put the car back together.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sometimes the frame is bent, and
it's not worth it.
Or the motor is gone. They do frequently say things like, maybe not in these exact words, but we are a work in progress.
He even said that in
things
his
like that.
apology.
Right. And fair enough. Of course, we all are. But that's not a. You say this statement and then okay, I'm absolved. I don't have to do anything now. If you're a work in progress, then still be a work in progress, and yeah. So it'd be interesting to see how Will and Jada, how they move forward with this. Publicly and personally.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's going to be public. I wish it wasn't, but
it will be. Yeah, I guess I'm of two minds when it comes to them producing a video on this. On one sense, I would watch it.
Be curious about it at the very least. Yeah.
In another sense, it's going to end badly for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to give them what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, very strange situation. I think that I think this is one of those times where we were given an insight into something in the past, and a lot of predictions were made, and Will Smith kind of lived up to the worst predictions.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. That seems like a good place to wrap up. Any final thoughts about this the slap heard around the world?
Yeah, about Slapgate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really glad that we add gate onto an appropriate number of things. Not everything gets a gate suffix, but some things do, and I think it's an appropriate level that we're adding things to. So I'm happy about that in culture as a whole. Not everything gets a gate, but things do, and I'm glad that that's continued there.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because it was with Nixon, it was the Watergate Hotel. So it's interesting that the word gate became the suffix and not hotel.
That's fair.
Slap hotel,
That does make it sound funnier, but I don't know. Gate just adds something to it. I don't know. The final thought. If I were, I can't imagine living that lifestyle of those who are famous. I can't imagine my marriage being out there for all to see, because any decision I made about anything, my behavior, anything, it would almost certainly, somebody would be able to find something wrong with it. And that sounds like the worst way to live that I could ever imagine. Now, of course, you're famous, and the presumption there is you're making a lot of money, you're able to live frivolously, like have a big house, go on big vacations, have nice cars, whatever. Mm-hmm. And that must be nice. But the other side of it, your life being so public and under a microscope at times, and feeling like you need to address things like these and have a social media presence and take pictures at these red carpet events and stuff. And it must be worth it for those who are engaged in that kind of lifestyle. And I'm sure leading up to that, it feels wonderful. Like, I'm making a lot of money. I'm famous. People love me. They want my autograph. I'm sure that feels wonderful. But at what cost? The cost essentially of your privacy, maybe, of your freedom to do whatever you want without scrutiny, without cameras all around you. I don't know. It must be worth it to a lot of people, but it just doesn't. From my non-famous person view, it doesn't seem worth it to me.
Yeah, I think some people some actors and other celebrities do a good job with the boundaries and kind of enjoying their money without making their life overly public. Mm-hmm. And others don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see the upside in the level of sharing that they engage in. Mm-hmm. But maybe they feel it's necessary, or they feel they need to answer publicly. I don't know. Yeah. If they produce another video on this, or a video, explaining this. I think we'll get a lot of information that we can offer commentary, but I'm not sure that they're going to advance their understanding.
Right. It'd be more generic, ambiguous type answers or responses.
I would expect to see some justification in that, if that video happens. Again, it was mentioned early on that it would happen, but now it may be different. Where they're probably thinking about it. If I had to guess, I would say they probably will make it.
I would think so too. It would be on brand for them.
Yeah. If they didn't, that would actually show some learning.
That's true. Yeah. Hey, we have better boundaries. Yeah. Right. But I'm sure the allure of that, of just making that, answering these questions, answering this public outcry, I'm sure that's enough to make them want to. Yeah.
And again, they get to deliver their message, which I think will be like, I'm sorry, but I was kind of justified.
I'm sorry, but. Yeah. This makes me think of, you were talking about the famous people or celebrities that kind of have more boundaries or have a little bit more privacy. Makes me think of a drummer from the band Rush, Neil Peart. Unfortunately, he died not too long ago. But I saw them in concert once in 2013, I think. And it was an incredible concert. It was 3 hours long, just them, and they are and were incredible musicians. After every single song, so Neil's behind this giant drum set, very elaborate, kind of wraps around him because he's just that good. He's got those in-ear monitors on, so after every song, he unattaches, unplugs the in-ear monitors, gets up, and runs off stage. After every single song. It was 3 hours long, and they played a number of songs. And then just comes right back on. He runs off stage and runs back on. And I had no idea why he did this until I looked it up later. And he had written many books, and I didn't read any of them, but I had heard this from other people. He did not want to be in the limelight. He had a problem with that celebrity status, with being famous, and he wanted no part of it. So for literally a few seconds, he'd run off stage, be backstage or wherever he was, run back on stage. He didn't want to hear the applause, I don't think. He didn't want to be viewed in that light. And they have a song, I said limelight intentionally because they have a song called Limelight, and he wrote all their lyrics for their songs, for most of them. And he took issue with being in the limelight. He took issue with his life being on display for other people. And, I give him a lot of props for that. Maybe that boundary was a little bit too far. Like, did you have to run off stage every time? Probably not. But obviously that felt better for him. And he definitely did not want to be viewed as a famous person, as a this, as a that, whatever. He just wanted to play. And just wanted to be a musician and just wanted to make a living that way. So maybe that's what Will should do. Maybe instead of running up on stage, maybe he just runs somewhere else. Like, let me get away from this situation for a little bit. Maybe that's his new boundary. Like, let me run from celebrity status.
If he completely hid for a long time, I think he'd have a better chance of coming back.
Yeah.
If he keeps this alive, he keeps stoking the fire. There's nothing but he has to accept he did something wrong without saying he had a reason, trying to justify it. That's his only path. Right. It's a narrow path, especially kind of considering where he might be coming from with those dynamics. Yeah.
Anytime he tweets something, posts something online, there's a chance it might make it better, but I think there's a better chance that it's going to make it worse, no matter what he says, especially given his history of really not making anything better by tweeting something. Yeah.
So, my last thought on this is that Will certainly surprised us. He he surprised us probably more than anyone could have imagined.
Yeah.
Like there's always, people always kind of budget for small surprises. But at the Oscars, somebody run up on stage, walking up a stage, slapping somebody, good job in that sense. Like, you surprised me.
You got us. You got us. We didn't see it coming. Chris Rock didn't even really see it coming. He knew something was about to happen, but he certainly didn't know what.
Yeah, so I guess at least he has that. Right? Hang on to. So we'll wrap up there. Interesting case. I don't know if there'll be a follow-up. We'll have to see if certainly we can do one if there's a Red Table Talk on it, or if something legal comes about or civil. We can follow up.
Yeah,
I think it is a significant case.
Significant implications for many different areas. Right.
Absolutely. All right. So that's our episode on the slap.
Do you want to do questions or anything?
You have any questions?
Just one question, but there was a comment.
Okay.
There was a comment that I thought was significant, was worth reading. Somebody had written a negative comment, and the last part of it said, "Also get to the point already." So it's something negative, and then also get to the point already. And this was by far one of my favorite replies. Somebody replied and said, "They never just get to the point. Are you new here?" And I thought that was perfect. Like, you're right. We never do. It's kind of become part of the brand here that tangents and so forth. So yeah, I thought that was pretty perfect.
Yeah, the tangent is where we put the goodness.
Right. Yeah, the tangent's where it's at.
Yeah, it's of course when there's comments, you're mostly going to have good comments, and you're going to have some that are critical, and some that are just like, I don't even know what.
Yeah. What are you going for here? Yeah. This is how you choose to spend your time. Right.
Yeah, but there's always going to be like, okay, do this different, do that different, and that's one comment I've heard with the tangents before, and I think most people like them.
Yeah,
the tangents are a very intellectual part of this exercise.
Right.
I think other people, and I get this, maybe click on the video and think they're going to hear like a tight synopsis of the case. That's not
what we do.
It's not what we do. Not here. It's just a brand. Like there's a style for this show. It's going to be maybe different than other shows. Well, certainly it can be different than other shows. Yeah, so I don't know what to do with that except I appreciate the feedback, but tangents are kind of the thing.
I appreciate the feedback, but we're really not going to change anything.
Not the tangents. I mean,
oh yeah, right. We might change other things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always open to other ideas,
sure.
Set design or content topics, but without tangents, I don't even know. This would be like 4 minutes.
We can't have that. Yeah.
Will Smith slap some guy.
Any final thoughts?
Exactly. So good. So no other questions.
Just one question. Okay. And I've experienced this just with one client, but can you guys talk about the phenomenon of getting into the office of one's therapist and your mind goes blank? You can think of nothing to say. And I didn't know this was a phenomenon, or if it is for that matter. I've only experienced this with one client that said it. Maybe others have too, but this is not something that regularly comes up.
No, I would say the opposite actually happens, especially if you're weekly, which seems frequent, but it's not. Once a week is not that often.
Usually pretty appropriate,
right?
Depending on the person.
Yeah,
at least in the beginning.
Yeah, so you're seeing somebody every week. A lot happens in their life in a week, right? Or if
that's why they're in counseling.
Yeah, if you miss an appointment, it's like 2 weeks. That adds up quick. Yeah. And what they tell you as a counselor is not what they tell other people, right?
Right.
So the effect that I see more than I forgot what to talk about is like it's like pressurized,
right. Ready to just burst.
It's like, right. You're just like you're not doing this literally, but you feel like your hair is blowing back. Yeah. But I've had that happen many times where you want to be always helpful, right? So you don't want to be like, hey, stop, because that wouldn't help anything.
Right.
But you kind of let it run see where it's going to go for a few minutes, but eventually you have to kind of cut in and be like, I see you have a lot on your mind. and we do work in a finite amount of time. So let's see if we can compartmentalize and order.
Right.
What's important now?
For right now. Right.
Sometimes that works, but other times they just run right over you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. But did I tell you about the... Yeah, the only time that I think that is most often the case, that they have so much that they want to talk about. But sometimes it's perhaps that they're dealing with so much is on their mind, that sometimes like this, the counseling session is their time, is their space to kind of let their guard down, depending on their situation. So they let their guard down, and now it's like, I'm in a completely different mindset. I don't even know what I don't even know what way's up right now. Like, and therefore, I don't even know what I want to talk about. I don't remember. I'm trying to think of what happened to me recently, and so sometimes that's the case. Yeah,
I think sometimes the technique is, a valid technique is to let a client pop open the bottle and have all the pressurized air come out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even if it takes a few sessions,
right?
It doesn't feel very aligned with like a popular theory,
Sure,
like CBT or whatever. And some clinicians might be critical and be like, well, you're not using their time well.
You're not being therapeutic enough, perhaps,
right.
Or
you don't have something good for your notes to show progress each time, which is a myth. It's a myth that there's progress made each time.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes you lose ground, but you gain it later. Like it's different than other lines of work.
Yeah. Right.
And I think sometimes you just have to let them talk, and that's good for you and them, right? The object is for them, of course, that's the priority. But as a counselor in your relationship, it's good for you too.
Right.
It's a healthy to learn about them, to hear what they have to say. Doesn't mean you don't try to temper it a little and direct it, but I'm more for just letting it run for a while, and then making slow adjustments, and give somebody that opportunity to really kind of get things off their chest.
Yeah. I agree, and I've had clients before that have not come back that hated that. They're like, "Why don't you tell me what to do?" And I'm like, "I'm not going to." Like, what do you want from me? And yeah, so there've been some that come back, and that have not come back, and that's fine. Obviously, I'm not what you need. Obviously, this is not the right fit. And I heard somebody say one time, just about how counselors are the ones who get fired.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way it is, right? Because if you're not a good fit, if I'm not a good fit for you, then you should be somewhere else. You should be seeing someone else, because I'm not going to be the one who's going to help you. And that's a good thing to recognize too, that if it's not what the person expects, if it's not what they want, then you could easily do them a disservice, waste their time, waste your time, and nobody gets anywhere. So it's, important things to recognize there.
It's a complex relationship.
Yeah. And
I think in like the movies and TV, they always favor like the confrontational counselor. You need to change.
Right.
That's just doesn't work. You have to have that relationship first. When you have that relationship with a client that lasts, say, several months or several years, then you can give that hard advice, and they'll take it in that spirit. Like they'll understand that you're looking out for them. Right.
I understand you have their best interest in mind.
Yeah, that you wouldn't say it just to be mean or like you're purposeful. But when a relationship is new, you can't really challenge. Right. If it's something super serious, but for most things you can't.
Right.
So all right. So that's Will Smith case and our questions. That was this episode of Alien Lizard Humanoids. Please put any ideas for other videos in the comments. We read every comment. We appreciate them. Any thoughts on this video, please put those in there as well. We will be back really soon with another episode of Alien Lizard Humanoids, or The Murder Part. Thank you so much for watching. We'll talk to you soon.